So there's this thing about space battles that the movies never really get right. They're loud, sure, but not in the way you'd think. It's not explosions and laser sounds, it's alarms. Constant, screaming, migraine-inducing alarms that make you wonder if dying might actually be quieter. Right now, though, dead silence. And let me tell you, that was so much worse. The CSS Determination, a galactic coalition warship that was definitely not living up to its name, tumbled through space like a drunk penguin on ice. Half the lights were out. The other half were flickering like they were trying to communicate in Morse code. Spoiler alert, they weren't saying anything helpful. Lieutenant Marcus Murphy, call sign Murph because apparently the universe appreciated irony, sat at his weapons console watching the tactical display turn into abstract art. Little red dots representing wrecked Empire warships. Lots of red dots. An uncomfortable number of red dots, really. And a handful of blue dots representing the coalition fleet, which was getting smaller by the minute. Not great. Captain Throrvax, a 7-foot-tall reptilian whose species had evolved on a planet where everything apparently tried to kill everything else, slammed his clawed hand against his armrest. It made no sound. The ship's internal comms were dead too. He opened his mouth, probably to say something inspiring and captain-like, then closed it again when he remembered nobody could hear him anyway. Ensign Quilp, the ship's navigator who looked like someone had given a jellyfish anxiety and a uniform, was making frantic gestures at his console. His translucent body was flashing colors that Murph was pretty sure meant he was panicking. In Quilp's species, turning purple meant fear. He was currently the color of an eggplant having an existential crisis. Chief Engineer Corda, blessed with 6 arms and cursed with the personality of someone who'd seen too much, was manually rerouting power cables. All 6 of her arms moved in perfect synchronization, which would have been impressive if she didn't look like she wanted to reroute those cables around someone's neck. Probably Murph's, based on the look she kept shooting him. Because Murph was smiling, not a big smile, not a manic I've lost my mind smile, just a little smirk that suggested he found something amusing about their imminent demise. The wrecked signal jammers had turned the entire battlefield into a silent movie, except nobody was doing funny walks and everyone was dying. Coalition ships were being picked off one by one, unable to coordinate, unable to call for help, unable to do anything except explode in complete and utter silence. The Determination shuddered as another blast glanced off their failing shields. Sparks flew from Quilp's console. He turned an even deeper shade of purple, which Murph hadn't thought was possible. Throrvax stood up, scales bristling, and started doing elaborate hand signals. Murph was pretty sure he was trying to say something like, "We need to regroup with the fleet," or possibly, "Why is the human smiling?" It was hard to tell. Throrvax's people had 16 different hand gestures for various types of honor-bound death, but only 3 for actual tactical maneuvers. Corda finished her cable work and pulled out a datapad, typing furiously. She held it up. "We're going to die." Well, at least someone was being optimistic. Murph looked around at his crew. His weird, alien panicking crew who were all clearly wondering why the human wasn't also having a breakdown. And honestly, fair question. Humans were supposed to be the emotional ones, right? The ones who freaked out and made bad decisions based on feelings. But here's the thing about humans that the rest of the galaxy never quite understood. When things got really, truly catastrophically bad, humans had this unique ability to find it absolutely hilarious. Murph pulled out his own datapad and typed, "I have an idea." Corda read it, looked at him, and typed back, "Is it stupid?" Murph grinned wider and typed, "Extremely." Throrvax leaned over to read the exchange, his reptilian features doing something that might have been a frown or possibly indigestion. He typed on his captain's console, "Explain." Murph's fingers flew across his datapad. "Give me access to comms, all frequencies." "Comms are dead," Corda typed back, adding several symbols that were probably the engineer equivalent of screaming. "Jammed, not dead, trust me," Murph responded. Throrvax's scales rippled, which in his species meant he was thinking hard. Finally he gestured to Corda, who looked like she wanted to argue but was too tired to bother. She typed something into her engineering console. Murph's weapons station lit up with communications access. He cracked his knuckles, took a deep breath, and did something that would either save them all or get him court-martialed. Probably both. Murph opened a channel on every frequency simultaneously, cleared his throat, and laughed. Not a polite chuckle, not a nervous giggle, a full, genuine belly laugh that echoed through the dead comms system like someone had just told him the funniest joke in the universe. Ha ha ha! Oh man, are you guys seeing this? The Vrekt really thought they did something with these jammers. His voice cut through the static like a hot knife through butter. Clear as day, crystal clear, impossibly clear. Every screen on the bridge lit up with incoming connection requests. The comms board went from dead silent to lit up like a Christmas tree on steroids. Throrvax nearly fell out of his captain's chair. Quilp flashed bright yellow, which either meant surprise or he was about to reproduce. Murph really hoped it was surprise. Corda's 6 arms all stopped moving simultaneously, which was the engineer equivalent of dropping dead in shock. Murphy, what the actual? The voice of Commander Zelthrax from the CSS Indomitable crackled through, also clear as crystal. How are you on comms? Oh hey, Commander Z. Funny story, really. Turns out the Vrekt jammers work by disrupting logical communication patterns. You know, military protocols, data streams, anything that follows predictable structure. Another voice joined in, this one belonging to Captain Vryn of the CSS, absolutely not panicking. Lieutenant, this is not the time for, but here's the thing, Murph continued, ignoring the interruption entirely. Human laughter, completely illogical, unpredictable, chaotic. The jamming AI literally doesn't recognize it as communication because from a logical standpoint, it isn't. It's just noise. Hilarious, beautiful, life-saving noise. Silence on the comms. Then, "You cannot be serious," Commander Zelthrax said. "I'm deadly serious." "Well, no, I'm actually finding this hilarious, which is kind of the point. Watch this." Murph cleared his throat. Okay, so a Vrekt walks into a bar. Bartender says, "Why the long face?" Vrekt says, "My empire's military strategy is being defeated by a human giggling on an open channel." The joke was terrible, objectively awful, the kind of joke that should have gotten him thrown out an airlock for crimes against comedy, but it transmitted perfectly. "By the 7 moons," someone whispered on the channel. "It's working," another voice confirmed. "All ships, confirm you're receiving this." A chorus of confirmations flooded in. Every coalition ship within range could hear him perfectly. Meanwhile, the Vrekt ships, based on their suddenly erratic movement patterns, were completely confused about why their jammers had stopped working. Throrvax grabbed a communicator, his voice finally returning to the bridge. "Murphy, how is this possible?" "Captain, the Vrekt are a logical species. Everything they do is calculated, efficient, strategic. Their AI is programmed to identify and disrupt communication by recognizing patterns. But human humor has no pattern. Every joke is different. Every laugh is unique. Their system is trying to jam something it can't even identify as language." Corda leaned into her own comms. "This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard." "Stupid is kind of our specialty, Chief," Murph said cheerfully. "Anyway, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to establish a code using jokes. Terrible jokes. The kind that make you groan and question your life choices." "We're already questioning our life choices," Commander Zelthrax muttered. "Perfect. You're halfway there. Okay, listen up, everyone. When I say, 'Why did the chicken cross the Vrekt firing line?' that means prepare evasive maneuvers. When I say, 'Ronnie, how many Vrekt does it take to screw in a light bulb?' that means focus fire on designated targets. And when I say, 'Knock knock,' someone better answer, 'Who's there?' or 'So help me.' We're all going to die because you don't understand comedy structure." "This is absurd," Throrvax said, but Murph noticed he was already pulling up tactical displays. "Absolutely, completely, totally absurd. Which is exactly why it'll work. The Vrekt Empire has been conquering galaxies for 10,000 years using logic, strategy, and overwhelming force. You know what they've never encountered? A species that turns warfare into an open mic night." Quilp, who had been quiet this entire time, suddenly flashed a bright green and spoke up. "Lieutenant Murphy, I believe I understand. If I may contribute, when someone needs to adjust their shield frequency, I could say, 'What do you call a ship with no shields?' A sitting duck. Would that be appropriate? Murph felt a tear of pride form in his eye. Quilp, buddy, that's the worst pun I've ever heard. It's perfect. You're a natural. I hate everything about this, Corda announced. But we're surrounded by 40 wrecked warships and out of missiles, so I guess we're doing comedy now. This is fine. Everything is fine. That's the spirit, Chief, sort of. Okay, everyone, get ready. The wrecked are regrouping at Sector 7. Time to see if we can annoy an empire into retreat. Murph pulled up the fleet-wide channel, cracked his knuckles again, and prepared to weaponize the one thing humans had always been inexplicably good at, being absolutely ridiculous when it mattered most. All ships, this is Lieutenant Murphy. Why did the chicken cross the wrecked firing line? A brief pause. Then Captain Vrin's voice sounding like he was regretting every decision that led to this moment. I don't know, Lieutenant. Why did the chicken cross the wrecked firing line? Murph grinned. To get to the other side. All ships, evasive pattern Delta now. The coalition fleet scattered in perfect coordination, dodging a massive wrecked volley that would have obliterated half of them. It worked, Thorvax whispered, staring at his tactical display in disbelief. Of course it worked, Captain. Now who wants to hear my impression of a wrecked commander trying to figure out what the hell is happening? Part 3. The stupidest battle plan ever. Command, this is Determination Actual, Thorvax said into the fleet channel, his voice carrying the weight of someone who couldn't believe what he was about to say. We are implementing protocol, Murphy's Gambit. All ships, stand by for tactical coordination via comedy. There was a long pause on the other end. Then Admiral Kresch's voice, dry as a desert planet. Captain, I'm going to need you to repeat that. I don't think my translator is working correctly. Your translator is fine, Admiral. We're coordinating fleet movements through jokes. It's the only way to communicate through the wrecked jammers. Another pause. Longer this time. Murph could almost hear the Admiral's blood pressure rising. Captain Thorvax, you have 30 seconds to explain before I have you relieved of command for mental instability. Murph grabbed the comms. Admiral Kresch, sir. Lieutenant Murphy here. The wrecked jamming system can't process human humor because it's too illogical. I've established a code using various jokes and comedic structures. For example, why did the photon torpedo go to therapy means launched torpedo spread pattern gamma. Why would a photon torpedo go to therapy, Lieutenant? Because it had too many issues to work through, sir, see? It works on multiple levels. That's the beauty of it. Silence. Then a long sigh that probably echoed through the Admiral's entire flagship. I'm too old for this. Fine. Murphy's Gambit is approved, but if we survive this, I'm recommending you for either a medal or a psychiatric evaluation. Possibly both. I'll take what I can get, sir. Okay, everyone, here's how this is going to work. We're scattered across 12 sectors, the wrecked have us outnumbered 4-1, and our only advantage is that they think they've won because we can't communicate. Time to prove them wrong using the power of dad jokes. Corda leaned over to Murph, all 6 arms crossed. I just want it on record that I opposed this plan. Noted, Chief. Now when I say what's the difference between a wrecked dreadnought and a birthday cake, what's the response? You can't fit a birthday cake in a torpedo tube, Quilp chimed in, flashing an enthusiastic orange. See? Quilp gets it. That means load anti-capital ship torpedoes. Captain Vrin, you getting this? Unfortunately, yes, Captain Vrin replied. My weapons officer is crying, actual tears, but we're ready. Murph pulled up the tactical display. The wrecked fleet was moving into an aggressive formation, clearly planning to finish off the scattered coalition ships one by one. They had no idea those ships could now coordinate. All right, here we go, all ships. Why don't wrecked tell jokes? Commander Zelthrax, sounding like a person whose soul was slowly leaving their body. I don't know, Lieutenant. Why don't wrecked tell jokes? Because they always miss the punchline. All ships converge on Sector 9, Pattern Omega. The coalition fleet suddenly shifted direction in perfect unison, 23 warships moving as one. The wrecked formation, which had been confidently advancing, suddenly found itself facing a coordinated enemy where there should have been chaos. Murph watched the tactical display as 3 wrecked destroyers broke formation, clearly confused. Ooh, they're rattled. Okay. What do you call a wrecked ship without weapons? Defenseless? Someone ventured. No, that's too logical. You call it a target. Focus fire on the lead destroyer. The CSS Determination and 4 other ships opened fire simultaneously. The wrecked destroyer's shields collapsed under the coordinated assault. It's working, Thorvax said, his tactical mind clearly at war with his sense of dignity. By the ancestors, it's actually working. Quilp was practically bouncing at his navigation console, his jellyfish-like body rippling with excitement. Lieutenant Murphy, I have one. What do you call a navigator who can't find the way home? Hit me, Quilp. Lost in space. All ships. Plot jump coordinates for Sector 12. The fleet responded instantly, and Murph felt genuine pride. His weird alien crew was getting the hang of this. Even Corda, professional pessimist and 6-armed engineering miracle, was getting into it. Sort of. Murphy, tell them the cooling systems on the port side are overheating, she said. How do I joke code that? You don't, I'm just complaining, but fine. What's cooler than being cool? Murph's eyes lit up. Ice cold. All ships with overheating port systems rotate to starboard exposure. Several ships confirmed, adjusting their orientation to let space's natural cold side cool their damaged systems. The wrecked were starting to panic now. Their tactical advantage had evaporated the moment the coalition could coordinate again. 3 more wrecked ships were retreating, their commanders clearly calling for reinforcements or new orders. Commander Zelthrax, how's your shield integrity? Murph asked. 73% and holding. What's the joke? No joke, just checking. But if you want one, wire shields like relationships. Please don't say what I think you're going to say. They're stronger when you maintain them regularly. All ships rotate shield frequencies. I hate that I understood that immediately, Zelthrax muttered. A wrecked cruiser attempted to flank the formation, but Captain Vryn was ready. Murphy, what flies through space and ruins everyone's day? A wrecked cruiser? Wrong. A well-placed minefield. Deploying mines at Sector 9 Delta. The wrecked cruiser ran straight into the trap, its shields flaring as it tried to navigate the sudden obstacle course. Murph leaned back in his chair, watching the battle turn in their favor. The wrecked had superior numbers, better weapons, more advanced shields. But they were losing to a coalition fleet that was coordinating its attacks through puns and one-liners. Thorvax stood at the center of the bridge, scales rippling in what Murph had learned was the reptilian equivalent of grim satisfaction. Lieutenant Murphy, I must admit this is simultaneously the most effective and most embarrassing military operation I've ever participated in. I'll take it, Captain. Now who wants to hear about the time a wrecked tactical computer tried to calculate the humor value of a knock-knock joke and had an existential crisis? Corda groaned. Do we have to? No. But it'll really confuse their intelligence officers when they review the battle recordings. Knock-knock. 23 coalition ships responded in unison. Who's there? Orange. Orange who? Orange, you glad we can coordinate fleet tactics now? All ships attack pattern Murphy 7. The pattern was named after him. He'd made it up 30 seconds ago. It probably violated 6 different military engagement protocols. It worked perfectly. The thing about psychological warfare is that it usually involves intimidation, fear tactics, or information manipulation. Nobody in the entire recorded history of galactic conflict had ever tried annoying the enemy into submission. Until today. Murph had upgraded from simple tactical jokes to full-blown comedic assault. He opened a direct channel to the wrecked flagship, and before their commander could close it, he started his routine. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and honored wrecked warriors. You've been a terrible audience, but that's okay. I'm here all week. Well, assuming you don't blow up my ship, in which case the show ends early, but let's stay positive. The wrecked commander, a massive specimen named Crocs the Unyielding according to the translator, appeared on screen. He looked like someone had taken a rhino, made it bipedal, given it armor plating and then told it about taxes. Human. Your communications should be impossible. Surrender and explain how you have breached our jamming technology. Oh, you want to know my secret? Sure, I'll tell you, it's laughter. Specifically my laughter. See, your fancy jamming system is designed to block logical communication, but my species gave up on logic about the same time we invented the reality TV show. We're basically running on vibes and spite at this point. Crocs's face did something complicated. You are mocking me during combat? I'm mocking you, your ships, your jamming technology, your interior decorating choices, seriously. Who put spikes on a bridge chair? That seems uncomfortable. But mostly I'm just providing running commentary on how badly this battle is going for you. 3 more wrecked ships changed course, clearly trying to get a targeting lock on the determination. Murph transmitted to the fleet. What do you call a wrecked targeting computer? Optimistic, Captain Vryn shouted back. All ships evasive. The coalition fleet scattered, and the wrecked ships ended up shooting at empty space. Crocs was turning an interesting shade of purple. Murph wondered if that meant the same thing as it did for Quilp. You dare to turn this battle into entertainment? Entertainment? No, this is education. I'm teaching your entire empire a valuable lesson about what happens when you underestimate humans. We're small, we're squishy, we have terrible survival instincts, but we have one superpower. We can find literally anything funny, including our own deaths. Especially our own deaths, actually. We write comedy shows about it. Crocs leaned forward. Your species is insane. Oh, absolutely. Completely unhinged. But here's where it gets interesting. Your tactical AI, the one running your jammers and probably half your weapon systems, is trying to analyze my humor to counter it, right? Crocs said nothing, which was as good as a confession. Yeah, thought so. Here's the problem. Human humor is fundamentally illogical. We laugh at things that aren't funny. We make jokes about tragedy. We use wordplay that only works in specific contexts. Your AI is probably having a complete meltdown trying to figure out why I just said, "That's what she said," after your weapons officer reported on torpedo length. On the screen, a wrecked officer leaned over to whisper something to Crocs. The commander's expression went from angry to confused to genuinely concerned. What is your AI telling you, Crocs? Is it maybe suggesting that the probability of predicting human humor is, let me guess, undefined, incalculable, causing system errors? This is a trick, Crocs growled. It's not a trick, it's just Tuesday for us. Hey, want to hear something really funny? What do you get when you cross a wrecked invasion fleet with humanity's complete disregard for appropriate military conduct? Crocs glared at him. What? I don't know, but I'm about to find out. All ships. Who wants to play a game called Confuse the Enemy Until They Make Mistakes? Is that a real game? Quilp asked, flashing an uncertain yellow. It is now. Okay, everyone start broadcasting random Earth music, comedy sketches, and meme compilations on all frequencies. Overload their analysis systems with content that makes no logical sense. Murphy, that's not even communication, Corda protested. Exactly. They can't jam what they can't understand. Suddenly, the wrecked jamming net was flooded with information, the opening theme to a sitcom, a stand-up comedy routine about airline food, a video of a cat playing piano, all of Earth's chaotic cultural exports dumped directly into the wrecked military network. 2 wrecked destroyers went dark, their systems overloaded. What have you done? Crocs demanded. I rickrolled your fleet's tactical computer. That's what I've done. Your AI is now trying to figure out why humans find a 1980s pop song funny when used as a prank. It's going to be thinking about that for a while. Possibly forever. A wrecked cruiser fired wildly, missing its target by 300 kilometers. Another one started spinning, clearly having lost navigational control. Commander, their ships are malfunctioning, Throrvax announced, staring at his tactical display in disbelief. Not malfunctioning, Captain. Confused. There's a difference. The wrecked built their entire military doctrine on logic and predictability. Humans just showed them that chaos is a weapon too. Quilp was bouncing so enthusiastically he was practically floating. Lieutenant, can I suggest we send them the complete works of Earth's pun championships? Quilp, You beautiful gelatinous genius. Do it. The wrecked fleet was in complete disarray now. Ships were firing on each other by accident. Navigation systems were plotting bizarre courses. And through it all, Crocs's face on the view screen was going through an emotional journey that would have been fascinating to study if Murph wasn't so busy weaponizing comedy. "This is impossible," Crocs said. "We have conquered 47 species. We have never been defeated by jokes. First time for everything, buddy. Hey, you want to know what's really going to bother you? This battle is going to go down in history, and every time anyone talks about it, they're going to mention that the mighty wrecked empire was defeated by a human telling dad jokes. Your legacy is now permanently attached to comedy. How does that make you feel?" Crocs's expression suggested he was genuinely considering surrender just to make this stop. Murph grinned. Sometimes the best weapon wasn't a gun. It was making your enemy regret every choice that led them to this moment. The wrecked empire in its 10,000 years of military excellence had protocols for everything. Overwhelming force? Protocol 793. Tactical retreat? Protocol 442. Surprise attacks? Protocol 881. But there was no protocol for a human broadcasting a continuous stream of Earth's worst puns while their tactical AI had a nervous breakdown. Crocs watched his tactical display with the expression of someone whose entire worldview was collapsing in real time. 3 more ships had gone dark. 2 were spinning in circles. 1 had apparently decided to just leave and was heading for the nearest jump point at maximum speed. "Commander," one of his officers reported, voice shaking. "The AI has stopped responding to tactical commands. It's stuck in a loop trying to calculate the humor value of something called a knock-knock joke. The computational load is—" "I don't want to hear it," Crocs interrupted. Just shut it down." "Sir, the AI is integrated into all ship systems. If we shut it down, we lose weapons, navigation, shields." Murph, who was still on the open channel and listening to all of this, started laughing again. "Oh man, you built your entire fleet around an AI that can't handle a simple joke structure? That's like building a house out of glass and being surprised when someone throws a rock." "Human," Crocs said, his voice carrying the weight of profound exhaustion. "What do you want?" "Me? I want to finish my stand-up routine. I was just getting to the good part. See, there's this thing humans do called comedy callbacks where you reference a joke from earlier. And it's funny because of the context and timing. Your AI is going to love trying to process that." "Please stop." "Can't stop, won't stop." "Okay. Remember earlier when I asked why the wreck don't tell jokes? Well, here's the callback. I just told you 47 jokes in the last 10 minutes, and you still haven't laughed once." The answer was foreshadowing. A wrecked dreadnought suddenly opened fire on its own escort ships. Based on the panicked communications Murph was intercepting, its targeting computer had classified everything as potential source of confusing human humor, and decided to eliminate all targets. "Your ships are attacking each other," Thorvax observed, scales rippling with what Murph had learned was the reptilian version of barely suppressed glee. "I can see that, Captain. Isn't it beautiful?" Corda leaned over, all 6 arms working on various repairs. "Murphy, I'm detecting massive system failures across the wrecked fleet. Their AI network is cascading into failure. What did you do?" "I didn't do anything, Chief. Well, except introduce them to the concept of irony, sarcasm, wordplay, observational humor, physical comedy, absurdism, and the complete filmography of Earth's greatest comedians. Their AI is trying to analyze and categorize all of it simultaneously." "You crashed their entire fleet with comedy," Quilp said, his jellyfish body glowing with admiration. "That's the most human thing I've ever witnessed." "Thanks, buddy. Now for my final act. I'm going to do something truly devastating." Murph opened the channel to maximum broadcast range. "Attention, wrecked empire. I'm about to play a song. This song is from Earth. It's called Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. If you don't know what that means, you're about to learn. If you do know what that means, I'm sorry, but also not really." "No," Crocs whispered. "You wouldn't." "I absolutely would. In fact, I already did. It's been playing on a hidden frequency for the last 5 minutes. Your AI has been processing it this entire time. The lyrics, the music video, the cultural context of why humans think it's hilarious to trick people into hearing this song. Every single layer of meaning. Crocs's command screen flickered, then went dark. Then flickered back on showing somehow the music video for Never Gonna Give You Up. "What have you done?" Crocs roared. "I rickrolled your flagship. Your ship is now playing a 40-year-old pop song on every screen, and your AI is having an existential crisis trying to understand why that's funny. Also, you just lost the game. That's another Earth thing. You're welcome." The wrecked flagship's engines died. Its shields dropped. Across the entire fleet, ships were going dark one by one as their integrated AI systems collapsed under the weight of trying to process human humor. Admiral Kresh's voice came through on the Coalition channel, filled with awe and horror in equal measure. "Lieutenant Murphy, please tell me you didn't just defeat an entire enemy fleet by rickrolling them." "I wish I could tell you that, Admiral, but I'd be lying. I absolutely defeated an entire enemy fleet by rickrolling them. Also puns. Lots of puns." "The wrecked flagship is hailing us," Thorvax announced. "They're requesting a ceasefire." "Put them through." Crocs appeared on screen again. He looked like someone who'd seen the heat death of the universe and found it preferable to this conversation. "Human Murphy, we surrender. We will withdraw from this sector. We will inform our empire that this region of space is not worth the cost of conquest. Just please, by all the dark stars, make it stop." "Make what stop?" "The song, the jokes, the puns, the constant stream of content that makes no sense but somehow keeps working as a psychological weapon. We surrender. You win. Please just let us leave with what little dignity we have remaining." Murph leaned back in his chair, grinning. "See, now was that so hard? You could have surrendered 10 minutes ago, but no. You had to stick around for the full show. Tell you what, I'll stop the Rick Astley if you promise to spread the word. Don't mess with humans. We're small, we're weird, and we will absolutely turn your invasion into a comedy show." "We will spread the word," Crocs said with absolute sincerity. "We will add human comedy to our list of prohibited weapons. We will tell every species in the Empire to avoid your people at all costs. You are insane. Your humor is a war crime, and we want nothing to do with you." "Aw, that's the nicest thing a war criminal has ever said to me." "Okay, you can go." "Oh, but one more thing." Crocs looked like he might actually cry. "What?" "Why did the wrecked Empire lose a battle?" Silence. "Because they couldn't take a joke. Get it? Because you literally couldn't process jokes and it crashed your systems? Come on, that's good stuff." The transmission cut off. The wrecked fleet, those ships still operational, began a slow retreat toward the jump point. They moved like a defeated army, and in a way they were. Just not defeated by weapons or tactics, defeated by dad jokes and a rickroll. Thorvax turned to Murph, his reptilian features attempting something that might have been a smile. "Lieutenant Murphy, that was the most ridiculous display of military action I have ever witnessed. It violated approximately 47 regulations, broke 17 protocols, and will probably get you court-martialed. But it worked. Against all logic, probability, and common sense, it worked. Quilp flashed a brilliant gold. We won. We won with jokes. Wait until I tell my spawning group about this." Corda set down her tools, all 6 arms finally at rest. "I still hate that this worked. I hate that comedy is now a valid military tactic. I hate that I'm going to have to write a repair report that includes the phrase enemy systems defeated by rickroll. But mostly, Murph prompted, mostly I'm impressed. Don't let it go to your head, human. But that was not terrible. Coming from you, Chief, that's basically a love confession. Don't push it." Admiral Kresh's voice crackled through the comms again. "All ships, status report, and someone explain to me what I'm going to tell command happened here." Murph grabbed the comm. "Admiral, I suggest you tell them the truth. Humanity's greatest weapon isn't technology or strength. It's our ability to be aggressively absurd when the situation calls for it. Also, we have really catchy music. I'm putting you in for a commendation and a psychological evaluation, in that order." "I'll take it, sir." 3 weeks later, Murph stood in front of a tribunal at Coalition headquarters, which was less of a military installation and more of a diplomatic circus where 47 different species tried to agree on basic things like which way was up. The tribunal consisted of 5 high-ranking officers from various Coalition species, all of whom looked like they'd rather be literally anywhere else. Admiral Kresh sat in the center, flanked by an insectoid strategist, a crystalline tactical expert, a methane-breathing logistics officer in a containment suit, and a being of pure energy that communicated through interpretive light patterns. Lieutenant Marcus Murphy, Admiral Kresh began, reading from a datapad. You are here today to answer for your actions during the Battle of Sector 9, where you employed unauthorized tactics, violated 17 separate military protocols, and introduced into active combat what can only be described as weaponized comedy. Yes, sir, that's accurate. You rickrolled an enemy fleet. Also accurate, sir. You coordinated military maneuvers through dad jokes and puns. The puns were mostly Ensign Quilp's contribution, sir. He's got a real gift. The crystalline officer, whose name Murph could neither pronounce nor spell, leaned forward. Its voice sounded like wind chimes in a hurricane. Lieutenant, do you understand that what you did is completely unprecedented in galactic military history? I'm aware, sir. There is no protocol, no training, no doctrine for what you accomplished. Well, sir, that's kind of the point. The Frecht had protocols for everything. We won because we did something that couldn't be in a protocol. The energy being flashed a series of colors that the translator rendered as, "Explain your tactical reasoning." Murph took a breath. The Wrecked Empire has conquered 47 species because they're more advanced, more organized, and more logical than everyone else. They win by being better at the game everyone else is playing. So I changed the game. I introduced chaos into their system. Humans are really good at chaos. Admiral Kresh set down the datapad. Lieutenant, you crashed their entire fleet AI by making it try to understand humor. Yes, sir. That's terrorism. That's comedy, sir. The fact that they can't tell the difference is what makes it work. The insectoid strategist clicked its mandibles thoughtfully. The Vrecht have formally complained to the Galactic Council. They are demanding that human comedy be classified as a psychological weapon and banned under the Conventional Warfare Accords. Sir, with respect, you can't ban comedy. That's like trying to ban breathing. Humans just do it. We can't help it. They also filed a secondary complaint, Admiral Kresh continued, claiming that exposure to human cultural exports caused lasting psychological damage to their AI systems and requesting reparations. So, they're saying we traumatized their computers? That is exactly what they're saying. Murph tried not to smile. He failed. Sir, I think that says more about their computers than it does about our comedy. The tribunal members looked at each other, the energy being flashed something that might have been exasperation. The methane breather's translator emitted a sound like a sigh, processed through a synthesizer. Finally, Admiral Kresh stood up. Lieutenant Murphy, after extensive deliberation and review of the battle recordings, this tribunal has reached a decision. You are hereby awarded the Coalition Star for innovative tactics. You are also being reprimanded for conduct unbecoming an officer and violation of 17 separate protocols. These will both go on your permanent record. I can live with that, sir. Furthermore, Admiral Kresh continued, and now he was definitely trying not to smile, Coalition Command has decided to establish a new military division. We're calling it Psychological Warfare Through Absurdity. You're being promoted to captain and assigned as its first director. Murph blinked. Sir, are you telling me I'm being promoted for being ridiculous? We're telling you that you discovered a tactical advantage no one knew we had. Humans have a unique ability to destabilize enemy systems through cultural chaos. Command wants to weaponize that, properly, with protocols, which I know defeats the purpose, but we have to try. Who's going to join this division? You need people who are naturally funny, quick-thinking, and completely comfortable with making terrible jokes under pressure. We're recruiting humans, Lieutenant, exclusively. Every other species we've tested can't do it. They try to be funny and it comes out forced, logical, predictable. Humans are the only species that can be genuinely chaotically humorous in combat situations. The crystalline officer added, "We attempted to train a Vrelian comedian to replicate your tactics. He filed for psychological leave after 3 days. What happened? He said, and I quote, that trying to be illogical was the most stressful thing he'd ever experienced. He's now in therapy." Murph couldn't help it. He laughed. "You're telling me other species find being funny stressful?" "Deeply stressful," the insectoid confirmed. "My people have humor, but it's based on precise wordplay and mathematical patterns. What you do is completely random. It's like watching someone juggle chainsaws while reciting poetry backward. It's fascinating and terrifying." Admiral Kresh pulled up a holographic display. "We've already had 47 human volunteers for the new division. They're all like you, smartasses with military training and a complete inability to take anything seriously. Command thinks you can train them." "Train them to what? Be themselves?" "Essentially, yes, but also to coordinate it, to turn individual human chaos into organized confusion, to be a tactical nightmare for any enemy that relies on logic and predictability." Murph looked at the holographic roster. Names, photos, service records. Every single one of them had comments in their files like, "Excellent soldier but needs to work on appropriate behavior," or "tactically sound, but makes too many jokes during briefings," or simply "talented but weird." They were perfect. "I'll do it," Murph said, "on one condition." "Name it." "Quilp gets transferred to my division. And Corda if she wants. Throrvax too. They were part of this, and they deserve to be part of what comes next." Admiral Kresh nodded. "Already approved. Captain Throrvax specifically requested transfer. Said it was the most interesting combat he'd experienced in 20 years, and he wanted more." "And Corda?" Chief Engineer Corda said, and again I quote, "that she'd rather work with you than spend another day on a ship where things make sense. I think that was a compliment." "From her?" "Definitely a compliment." The tribunal members stood. The session was apparently over. Murph saluted, which felt weird given that half of them didn't have hands. As he turned to leave, Admiral Kresh called out, "Oh, and Captain Murphy, one more thing." "Sir?" "The Vrekt Empire has officially blacklisted humans from their territory. They've declared us a cultural hazard and warned all their allies to avoid contact with our species. Is that bad?" "Captain, they're terrified of us. Not because of our weapons or our ships, because of our jokes. We've become the first species in galactic history to win a war through comedy and be banned from an empire because we are too annoying to fight." Murph grinned. "So we're like the galaxy's weird uncle that nobody invites to parties because we might embarrass them?" "Exactly like that. And Command couldn't be happier. Fear is a powerful deterrent, but being too annoying to conquer? That's a defense strategy nobody saw coming." Murph left the tribunal chamber and found Throrvax, Quilp, and Corda waiting outside. Throrvax's scales rippled with barely contained amusement. "Captain Murphy has a nice ring to it. You requested transfer to work with me again? Captain, you could have gone anywhere." "True, but everywhere else is boring. You turned military tactics into performance art. I want to see what you do next." "What?" Quilp flashed an excited green. "I've been practicing puns. Want to hear? What do you call a ship that tells jokes?" "What?" "A punt. Get it? Like punt, but also pun?" "Quilp, that's terrible. You're going to fit right in." Corda crossed all 6 arms. "I'm only here because someone needs to keep you idiots alive. Also, Command promised me my own lab where I can develop technology specifically designed to annoy enemy systems. I get to weaponize inconvenience. It's everything I've ever wanted." "So the whole crew is back together?" "Looks like it," Throrvax confirmed. "Though now we have to train 47 humans to do what you did naturally. Should be easy. Humans are born annoying. We just need to teach them to be professionally annoying." They walked through the headquarters, passing officers from dozens of species, all of whom were already whispering about the Battle of Sector 9. About the human who laughed through the jammers. About the fleet that coordinated through comedy. About the day warfare changed forever. "You know what the best part is?" Murph said as they reached their new assignment. A training facility that still smelled like fresh paint and poor decisions. "What's that?" Corda asked. "Somewhere out there, some enemy is planning their next move. They're analyzing coalition tactics, studying our weapons, preparing for battle, and they have no idea that the biggest threat to their invasion is a human with a microphone and a terrible sense of humor." Quilp flashed a mischievous orange. "Should we warn them?" "Nah, where's the fun in that? Besides, the look on their face when they realize they're losing to a knock-knock joke will be worth it." Throrvax looked at his new crew, this collection of misfits who'd accidentally revolutionized galactic warfare. "I think we're going to make a lot of enemies." "Captain," Murph said with a grin, "we're going to make a lot of enemies laugh. Then we're going to make them surrender. Then we're going to make them tell everyone that humans are too weird to fight. It's going to be glorious." And somewhere in the depths of space, a wrecked commander was filing his 1,000th complaint about how the song "Never Gonna Give You Up" was still playing in his nightmares, and nobody in the entire empire could figure out how to make it stop. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as warriors, not as diplomats, but as the species that could turn any battle into a comedy show and somehow win. It wasn't the role anyone expected. It was perfect.